Hello guys, my name is Navita Sarina Baban. I want to share about speech art and I will explain it just for you and I hope you can enjoy to watching my video. Uh, do you know what the meaning of speech art? Language has many purposes in our life and we use language in our daily life because we need to communicate to each other. And speech art is a functional unit in communication. It means that a speaker performs when making an utterance. An utterance is any stretch of talk by one person before and after, which there is silence on the part of that person. An utterance is the use by a particular speaker. This is the types of sentence from utterance. Number 1, statement or declarative. 2, comment or imperative. And the last one is questions or interrogative. I will explain one by one. Number 1 is statement or declarative. Declarative is a sentence that expresses a statement. A simple declarative sentence consists of a subject and predicate. The following are more examples of declarative sentence, from very simple to more complex. As you will see, all declaratives end in a period and are informative statements. For example, the cat is sat on a chair. The cat is subject and is sat on a chair is predicate. After the end of sentence is period. This is the punctuation. This is the another examples you can read by yourself. And I will explain the second sentence, imperative. Imperative sentences are used to issue a command or instruction, make a request or offer advice. Basically, they tell people what to do. Imperative sentences usually end with a period but can occasionally end with a period but can occasionally end with an exclamation point. This sentence sometimes refers to as directives because they provide direction to whoever is being addressed. In the examples of imperative sentence here, you will note that each line is issuing a command and request. For example, about as command, get the flag quickly and keep off the grass. For the request, can you help me find my shoes? And please return to your seats. Explanation about interrogative. An interrogative asks a direct question and is punctuated at the end with a question mark. It is one of the 4 basic types of sentences and it's a highly useful one. Could you imagine life without questions? Interrogative sentence allow you to gather information and clear up confusion as well as engage in interesting conversation with others. It's also useful in writing as an organizational tool. For example, You can set you can set up questions as header and answer them to explain a concept in more detail in expository writing. Like all complete sentences in English, an interrogative sentence must contain a subject and a verb. However, here the word order is usually changed to put the verb before the subject. For example, when is the deadline? In this sentence, deadline is the subject and is the verb. The verb comes before the subject in a direct question. This is the different types of questions. Rising tone instead of falling tone, inversion, question word, check questions, invert word order but it cannot be answered simply yes or no, question word to ask information. Analysis of speech act. The principal use of language is to state facts, to describe how things are in the world, to present information which generally is either true or false. In every speech act, we can distinguish three things. Number one is locution is utterance. Elocution is the speaker intends to communicate to the address. And perlocution is the message that the address gets his interpretation of what the speaker says. For this slide, I will explain one by one about communication is guided by 4 factors called maxims. Number 1 is about the maxims of quantity. Maxim of quantity is make your contribution as informative as is required, more informative than required for the current purpose of exchange. The second maxim is relevance. Maxim relevance requires us as speakers to make our utterance relative to the discourse going on, the context in which they are occur. And for the explanation about the maxims of manner, it is to be orderly and clear and to avoid ambiguity. If you ask someone a question and the reply that you are received seems extremely obscure, your interlocutor is either a disorganized individual or is deliberately avoiding a straight answer. And for explanation about the maxim of quality, this is try to make a true and sensory contribution. Seven kinds of speech aids. Speech aids differ in their purposes, whether they deal with real or potential facts, and prospective or retrospective in the role of speaker, or address in this fact that of course in felicity conditions. Number one is assertive utterances. What is the meaning of assertive utterances? Assertive utterances are concerned with fact. The function is to tell what the speaker know or believe. The purpose is to inform. For example, direct assertive utterances. Most plastic are made from soybean. And for indirect assertive utterances, we declare that most plastic are made from soybeans. Number two, performative utterances. Performative utterances makes things happen just by being uttered. It is valid if spoken by someone whose right to make them is accepted, and in circumstances which are accepted as appropriate. Number three, verdictive utterances. Verdictive utterances are speech aids in which the speaker makes an assessment or judgment about the age of another, usually the address. These include ranking, assessing, appraising, condoning, and the verdictive verb includes accuse, charge, excuse, thank. For example, I congratulate you for performing so well. Number four, expressive utterances. Speakers make expressive utterances based on previous action or failure to act of the speaker. The most common expressive verbs are acknowledge, deny, admit, apologize, confess. For example, I apologize for having disturbed you. The next one is about directive utterances. For these directive utterances have three kinds of directive utterances. Now, like command, request, and suggestion. A command is effective only if the speaker has some degree of control over the action of the addressed. For example, you must appear in court next. A command is effective only if the speaker has some degree of control over the action of the addresses. For example, you must appear in court next Monday at 10 a.m. and don't waste your time on that. And request is an expression of what the speaker wants the address to do or refrain from being. For example, smoking is not permitted in the lavatories. And commissive utterances is speech acts that commit a speaker to a course of action are called commissive utterances. In other words, they are prospective and concerned with the speaker's commitment to future action. That is, include agree, ask, refuse, promise, treat, and so on. For example, I promise to be on time, and I agree to your term. The last one is about pathetic utterances. Pathetic utterance is the exchange of greetings and goodbye, the polite chit-chat about whatever is expected in the particular society. A pathetic expression is one that doesn't require an answer because it is just social talk or responses much like small talk. You can see for this slide for example of pathetic utterances like how are you, have a nice day, how's going, and what's up, and you are welcome. So the summary for this material, we can conclude utterances can be classified according to the general purpose of the speaker, which, when communication is successful, is also the address interpretation. So, I hope we can learn something about how the speech art is can help us to communicate to each other. So, thank you and God bless you.